one of the first thing is about mindset. So for me, it was only that there was one way to have a team, and this was the way. And I think that when the book was written, which I don't remember the exact year, but when it was written, I think there wasn't really talk about teams. So I think that perspective of like, hey, you can leverage, I think was a cool idea at the time. But for me, when I was implementing it, it wasn't feasible. So for example, I went and I hired an assistant because I could sell, and it said the first hire is an assistant. Now, knowing what I know now, I would hire a transaction coordinator that's virtual, that I pay per file. Because my problem is I now am accountable for this person's salary. And I see a ton of agents make that mistake. And I also made that mistake probably 4 times, maybe 5 before I was like, you don't have to do it that way, but you never know what you don't know until you talk to other people that know more than you. And so it was like everybody around me, like at KW and most brokerages, they have like a list of who the top realtors are. And I was at the top for a while, not the very, very top, but the top. And I saw like, okay, well then I must know the most, right? Like who else knows more than I do? So I was like, this is how you're supposed to do it, but it's not, it's too expensive.
Yeah.
The whole thing is so expensive. And then you hire a buyer's agent, but then they want to list stuff. You're like, no, you are a buyer's agent. You only do buyers. And then you're like, where are all these buyer leads that I have to get? Now I have to buy buyer leads. And it's like, okay, now I'm paying salaries. I'm buying buyer leads. Now this buyer agent is asking me 1 trillion questions. So I'm not prospecting. Now we don't have any listings for the buyer leads. So now I have to pay somebody to manage this buyer agent and market our team. And it's like, okay, I'm responsible now for 5 salaries. And I'm not making more money. I'm losing money.
Yeah. So what's the lesson you would give, because I will say there is a right way to do it. And I painstakingly figured it out. And we're hundreds and hundreds of people through our system. But for you personally, knowing what you know now, and we're going to get to your approach on business now, which I think is amazing, because I do tend to be that guy that's like, okay, I've figured out this is the one way to do it.
There's a million ways.
Just meeting, I'm meeting more people that are like, now we have a different platform. Now you're in 3 countries. You couldn't have been in 3 countries on the other platform.
Right.
Gary will forever be in the Hall of Fame. So if you're hardcore KW and you love Gary, he is forever probably the top seat in the Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
But when he wrote the MREA, he didn't have 100 examples of $2.4 million teams that were netting $1 million where the team leader was not in production. I've had 1,000 conversations with team leaders and nobody has the right margins.
No,
and the
margins are terrible for that. The best margins that I've found, and when I do the math, is a team of 4 people. So like an admin and 3 people that sell. One of those 3 people being like the leader, I guess.
Yeah. So like 50 transactions, listings, mostly listings from the main person, a couple buyer agents, 80% buyers, they're
something
doing
like that.